Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to walk through the MX64 Meraki security appliance and how to be able to add in a secondary internet connection on your Meraki MX64. This needs to be done locally on the router itself or on the security appliance itself. It cannot be done remotely. If you notice on the back of your MX64 you have 4 ports, LAN ports, that can be plugged into your equipment, access points, printers, so forth, and you also have an internet port. In addition, you have a USB auto failover backup for a 3G, 4G dongle or MiFi device that you can also plug in at times of emergency as well. Today we're going to go ahead and connect and configure port number 4 as a secondary internet port on the back of your MX64. To do that, it needs to be done locally. It needs to be done at the location where the MX64 is, and you need to plug directly into the MX64 into port number 4 directly. You do not need an internet connection in the back of the MX64 to do this. It's a wired connection. So what we're going to do is that we are going to go and type in wired.meraki.com. And this will automatically take you to a connection setup. Here it says it's trying to join a network through the Ethernet connection. So I have the port number 4 plugged directly into my computer, and my computer also has Wi-Fi device going out, but I don't have any connection into the internet port on the back of the MX64, so it doesn't try to confuse the MX64 what we're trying to do. In this case, you have 3 options at the top. You can do connection, you can do configuration, you can do Ethernet. In this one here, it talks about the network device. This was set up as a loaner piece of equipment that we have that we loan out to organizations to trial the program and so forth. In this position, we're actually going to go ahead and click on the configuration tab. Here you have 2 options. You can do the DHCP here on an IP, or you can, and through the direct connection, or you can do a static. In this case here, we utilize a static IP because the internet service provider for this customer was needed to use a static IP. In this case, one of the things we can also do, so backing up, so I'll actually talk about static IPs real quick as well. So if you're not running DHCP and you want to hard code in what the IP configuration is for your static IP, you get that from the local service provider, your internet service provider, and you'd plug in both your address, IP address, the net mask, the gateway address, which is different obviously from the 120, which you're giving on multiples, and you can do it at 113. That's what we use for the gateway here. And then we use the standard Google DNS server to be able to do a static IP. So if you just want to do regular DHCP, you'll get rid of all that. Your direction would be direct DHCP. It automatically pick up the DHCP if the carrier is providing that and not a static IP. DHCP is sometimes called dynamic IP. In this case here, we're going to really talk about port number 4 today. And as you see currently set up on all the MX series, all of the open ports, whether they're PoE or regular, are all considered LAN ports. So if you want to configure an alternate port for a secondary internet provider, you would go here to port number 4, you would go to Role, and you'd click on LAN, you'd click on Internet. And again, this can be direct or DHCP. So in this case, when you're utilizing a secondary port and you're bringing it into your network, you need to understand whether it is DHCP or if you have to program in a static IP. If this one here is a static IP, you'd go ahead and just type the static IP, you'd put the information in. If a net mask might change on that, obviously put in the gateway. We prefer the 8.8.8.8 for the Google DNS server, and then the 4.2.2.1. If your ISP provider says that you need to use their DNS server, you can put in their information there as well. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and do a DHCP because we're going to take that connection and plug it into port number 4 directly off the back of the ISP's provided MikroTik or whatever the landing device is that they're utilizing on this. And then you go ahead and click Save, and then it gives you that optional port for port number 4. And that's all you need to do. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. My name is Robert Anderson at robert.anderson@telecomforgood.org. My phone number is 949-274-3877. If you're calling international, it's +1 949-274-3877 if you have any questions or concerns. And then you can also hit me on Skype at DataGuy, DATAGUY, the number 2, the number 3, US. And we can communicate via Skype if you need to. Thank you so much for your time today, and appreciate your help.